welcome to the B Word. I'm BOKANG, for those of you who are new here. And in today's episode, we're getting serious about our finances, okay? We're talking all things money, from financial freedom.
Going where I want, whenever I want, buying whatever I want, whenever I want.
Also can live the life that I truly want as a young black woman. That is a soft life. That is a life that I could easily travel and not think about what loans am I opening because money's making sense.
Like counting every cent can literally give you so much depression because it's just like, when do I stop counting?
To knowing your worth as a woman in the workplace.
The scariest question for me is when people ask, how much do you expect to be paid? What do you want me to say?
There's been this narrative that's always been drilled into us of like, you gotta work 2 times harder to just get half of what they have. Or like, no.
It's not about your worth. You negotiate what you think you're worth, not what you're actually worth.
And the money moves we're all gonna have to be making if we're serious about having that financial glow up.
Before the salary even comes in, like I break down what am I gonna spend my money on this month and what's not a necessity.
Discipline in knowing that you're going to save this amount and knowing how much you are going to use and how much you're not going to use.
Language is so important.
Language is so important when it comes to money and money management. We need to be cognizant of the language that we use.
Of course.
So by now, y'all know the drill. Sit back, relax, get those notebooks out, and let's get into it.
Critical but stable.
She's on life support, darling.
I'm on
She's hanging in there.
Overwhelmed, but trying to positively embrace it.
Money loves me, but it seems as if like I don't love it, I don't respect it. I'm always just as soon as it touches my hand, it's gone.
I would say complicated, but I'm actively working better at it.
We're in couples therapy, you know. We weren't really taking each other seriously. We were taking each other for granted, I think. So now we're like, okay, we need to do the work so we can benefit one another in this relationship.
But money loves me. Money understands me. Money sees me. Money feels me. Money just wants to be around me. Wants to have a conversation with me all the time.
It's such a deep question because it's a question where you come from ultimately defines what your financial freedom will look like.
Financial freedom means being able to do things that you want to do without having to borrow, without having to need extra assistance.
When I do not need to count things that I want in my life.
Going where I want, whenever I want, buying whatever I want, whenever I want, because that is my prerogative.
I don't want to have to worry about, my medical aid, petrol, essentials. I don't want to have to worry about the things that sustain me like food, water, clothes.
For me, it's being in control of my money and not having it control me.
Ooh.
Did you hear that?
That's a word.
Did you hear that?
Like counting every cent can literally give you so much depression because it's just like, when do I stop counting?
I want to swipe my card and not be like, oh, I hope it doesn't decline. I want to get that bank notification and not be like, yeah!
Without financial freedom or without that state of being able to do whatever you want, you miss out on a lot of moments with people. And that hurts. I don't want money to make me miss out on the beauty of life.
I want to be a financially savvy social entrepreneur that gives back to communities, but also can live the life that I truly want as a young black woman. That is a soft life. That is a life that I could easily travel and not think about what loans am I opening because money's making sense.
And the financial freedom of to do some self-care, because I think that is the biggest freedom that you can have with money. Self-care, like doing your nails, doing your facials, taking yourself out for like a date,
or going out with my friends as often as I would like. If a friend of mine calls me and she says, hey Kule, let's take a flight to Cape Town. Let's take a flight to Cape Town.
I'm not worried about debit orders finishing me for the rest of the month.
Yes.
I really just want to be as independent but also in control of my money and knowing that what I'm doing with my money makes sense to me.
I have so many.
Me too.
I have so many.
Uber Eats.
Darling,
Food.
Self-care is what I spend spend most of my money on. See? I was about to do the same thing, but I'm wearing a dress.
Food. Man, I can't say that word enough. That's chocolate, that's cake, that's ice cream, that's sweets. Okay, I have a sweet tooth, clearly.
Your makeup, like your lashes, like your clothes, like your hair, like your nails. Well, don't judge me now, child.
Breakfast dates for no, because you need to treat yourself.
you do.
You need to treat yourself, guys. Like it's a must.
Listen here, okay? If we're talking about sneakerheads.
Next question.
Let's play a game of fact or fiction. Fact or fiction. More than half of households in South Africa have a female financially knowledgeable person, and majority of those households have a woman as the head of the household.
More than half. Fact.
Facts.
Definitely facts for me.
I think it's fact because first and foremost, well, it's a sad state, but quite a lot of households are raised by single mothers.
That means she's the one taking care of the monies. She has the job. She needs to take care of the family.
Fact. 56.1% of households have a female as the financially knowledgeable person, and in 58.4%, a woman is the head of the household.
My mom and my aunt are literally like the breadwinners of everything. Like they know where money is supposed to go. They know when it's supposed to be paid. If I have to apply for anything, they know what to do.
Outside of that, even with couples, I find, for example, in my family, my dad is very financially knowledgeable, but my mom has a very huge helping hand in that. So she runs where the finances go specifically and then goes and consults with my father.
That's why a lot of men give their salaries to their Woo! I want that. I really want that. Give me your salary, then I'll give you a salary from your salary.
But for me personally, learning from that, I think it's really important to understand money as a woman, because you never know where you're going to end up in life. Don't think that you're going to be married with kids and he's running everything. Even if he is running everything, it may work against you. So I think it's really, really important to understand where everything is going as a woman.
Fact or fiction? On average, women face an estimated 15% pay gap income discrimination to their male counterparts.
I think that's fiction.
Fact.
But it might be higher, but I'm thinking fact.
I want it not to be true. So for the principle of things,
It's probably true. I would go with it's probably higher.
It's obviously true, but it's also like it's way higher than that.
fiction. The income pay gap discrimination women face is estimated to be between 19 and 37% depending on the industry.
Oh my gosh.
It's even more.
19 to 37.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I need to recover from that. Like, that's actually yo.
I'm embarrassed to say that I should have known that, because I've had conversations with my male friends who have job hopped and they've experienced a pay raise of more than like 40-something%.
We still live in a very misogynistic ways, and like especially when it comes to corporate, very misogynistic, and how they think that like men bring more to the company and women bring more of like admin, HR, and all that stuff, you know.
I can only speak from the perspective of a black woman, having worked in corporate. You never really know what other people are earning. And 9 times out of 10, they're earning way higher than you.
Yeah.
Way, especially the men.
The scariest question for me is when people ask, how much do you expect to be paid? And I'm like, damn. What do you want me to say? Let's talk about it. What do you want me to say? And the thing is, it's so sad because the first statement is, what do you want me to say? Not what am I worth? And they're asking you, how much do you think you're worth? But your default is, how much do you want me to be worth?
I love what you brought up about Black women as well, because in the workplace or when it comes to money and careers, I think there's been this narrative that's always been drilled into us of like, you gotta work 2 times harder to just get half of what they have. Or like, no, we're not there anymore, guys.
That's one thing we need to accept that we haven't accepted as women. It's not about your worth. You negotiate what you think you're worth, not what you're actually worth. You negotiate what you're worth.
But I've definitely been in this position where I give a service and I feel like, oh my gosh, I don't want to say this number, even though I know full well that it's how much I'm worth. And even though I've crunched the numbers and I know how much to charge, I always am like, maybe I should just cut it just a bit down so that it sounds more palatable.
Being a trans woman, obviously it's like, do you deserve it? Like, you know, all that stuff. But, and really I'm a woman, so obviously when I negotiate or anything like that, it's always got to be like lower, or I was like, you know, compromise in some sense, or more of like, oh, what are you gonna do with that money? You're just gonna do your nails.
Imposter syndrome will definitely have you like say, you know what, let's do this work for free, even though you have no petrol in your car, you haven't paid your bills. It's very difficult. But I think there's a power in like sort of documenting the work and the process of what it takes to maybe host a workshop, or what it takes to develop a brand strategy, or what it takes to create something, right? Like then you can actually show people why this is the amount that you deserve for the work.
Keeping note of what you're bringing to the table, how much work you've done, not just to justify it for them, but to also justify it for yourself.
Sure.
So when you go into those spaces of negotiating, you can back it up and you can go in there with the confidence because you have the evidence.
I've been getting myself used to saying what I'm worth and knowing that the people who came to me should know what I'm worth. And so I should just say it.
I know my worth, and I know that if I say I deserve 25k, you're gonna give me 25k, because you're not gonna try decrease my worth. So if you want to negotiate, I will only give you 200 off.
But there's also an element of like the discrimination that was mentioned.
Of course.
That, you know, they feel that they can't retain maybe more female staff because there's so many different other maternal things that are going on. You know, you're raising the kids, you're probably going to have, like one question they ask usually women is, do you plan on having kids? But they don't ask men that question, right? So it's not even just, there could be someone who's badass at negotiating, but they'll still look at you based on how you're presenting and be like, this person probably is going to want to settle down and have kids, and that's probably going to be an issue. So we're not going to invest as much capital or salary to you because, you know.
That time that person is making you millions and millions.
Hey!
Revenue, but whatever.
Honestly, guys, it's not enough to be in the room anymore. It's really not, especially in the world that we live in and the price of living and all of that stuff. It's so important to fight for yourself.
Fact or fiction? Almost 65% of youth FKP households indicate that they do not have financial goals or plans.
Fact.
I didn't think we'd agree on this one.
I think it's a fact.
That sounds
Young
ridiculous.
people.
That sounds ridiculous.
Young people, no ways.
I think that's likely fact, simply from the attitudes of my peers.
The same people that are like, I want this car, I want this house.
The same people who are majority unemployed in this country and want better for themselves.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Sorry.
That doesn't make sense.
It could be a fact, because like in stances of like demographics and stuff like that. It could be fictional, right? Because of like environment, background. You get me?
Fiction. Almost 50% of youth FKP households indicate that they do not have any financial goals, therefore no financial plans.
It's kind of like split in the middle. You have the group that has financial goals, and then you have the group that is kind of just winging it.
The financial plan that I'm working towards is actually making money. Let's start there.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. And I just think that is also very socially politically driven. We're currently in a moment where young South Africans just feel like things are not getting better for themselves. And so maybe it's very difficult for them to actually then start planning. Because how do I think about
it?
how do I get a new car? when they've been applying for jobs so many times, when the money that they actually get will go into printing a CV, to catch a taxi, to get to the office.
A lot of people are not earning enough if they do have a stream of income at all, or their side hustles, you know, they don't get paid enough to be able to like now think about, what am I going to do? What am I going to invest in? People are really living hand to mouth, or, you know, just to survive the end of the month at the end of the day.
But the vicious cycle that we often get into is because we're living month to month. We're living month to month, and we're getting these loans because we need to live month to month, and then we end up paying back these loans, and then we don't have the money for the savings.
Who's gonna pay for those bonds? I pay with what money? I need to start making money for me to actually have a goal with money. Like, can see how much money loves me. I wish it actually told me what to do with it, because wow.
If you don't take care of the youth of any country, you're ultimately saying we don't care about the future of the country.
You're literally killing the planet.
That isn't okay. And so if we're seeing young people feeling so despondent, to not thinking about how do I say, like not even wanting to have these conversations about finances because they don't even see the long term, they can't even see something happening on the horizon, that is very sad.
Fact or fiction, out of 2.6 million households, 88% do not even have one side hustle.
Yes, I think that.
Fiction!
I don't think people have side hustles, especially in South Africa.
But I don't think all of them don't have side hustles. Because, you know, a side hustle could literally just be like my mom being a vendor.
Everyone is doing some kind of online course in order to create their own streams of income online, or have jobs coming in from overseas. That is the movement right now. So I think it's false.
First and foremost, we are a country riddled in poverty. So I think many people are really trying to find an actual hustle and not a side hustle.
You need to cook for your kids, you need to help them with homework, all of those things. There's a lot of households like that in South Africa, and those households, I don't think they have the time to do side hustles.
So is it a fiction or is it a fact? Is it a fiction or is it a fact?
I don't know. I'm a bit conflicted because I'm also a fact fiction. But I'm just looking at like the realities of how some people will just be like, oh, I'm cooking, so I'm gonna start my own kitchen thing whilst I'm trying to look for a job because this kitchen thing isn't as, you know. I'm just looking at that. Like, I'm looking at how people sometimes are trying to find ways to find jobs for themselves because they don't want to do the menial labor, or maybe people are rejecting their CVs, so they'd rather just maybe start their own thing at home or in their communities to fill in that gap. And that's essentially what the Kasi economy has been.
Fiction. According to the Momentum UNISA Household Wellness Index, 88% of 2.6 million households have at least one side hustle.
I feel like I should have known this answer because I have a side hustle.
Yeah.
I have multiple side hustles.
Yeah.
My side hustle has become my main hustle, which is great, but it's quite a commitment, and it isn't for everyone. But if you are able to have those multiple streams of income, it can really come in handy, especially if you're the type of person that kind of thrives off of doing a lot of different things.
The things that I do, most people do them as a side hustle. So like having a food business, being on, you know, camera, all that people see as a side hustle. But it's not a side, it's a job. As long as I'm making money, don't think it's a side hustle.
I like to look for side hustles. Right now I bake, and it's actually making me a good amount of money, which is great. But at the same time, the consistency of my side hustle is lacking.
I think for me, my side hustles, the ones that haven't been, like the ones that I wouldn't even say have failed, the ones that I've experimented with and the ones that I've learned from, have definitely cultivated the journey of where I am now. I learned necessary things. And I think people often, when they start thinking about side hustles, they always say, like sort of think, it's not going to work, it's never going to work. But I think sometimes it not working is a lesson in itself.
I think also just to expand your portfolio and your skill set, I think it makes you a double, triple threat in whatever you're trying to build. So if that is something that you want to do, I think definitely look into it. one thing that I have become really good with is budgeting.
You are the budget girl.
At the beginning, before the salary even comes in, like I break down what am I gonna spend my money on this month and what's not a necessity. Spend on what is necessary first, and then whatever is left over, then you'll spend on that.
Don't feel pressured because everyone else is getting this thing that you must also be matching. Get the things that you really need to elevate your life that makes sense for you.
If anything, it's just important for you to be realistic with yourself and your financial situation, and don't try to keep up with the Joneses or live according to other people's budgets or other people's level of lifestyles. Stay true to you and spend as is necessary.
Save so that any rainy day comes, you have the money for it.
I save about 40% of all of my income, just generally. And what's been beautiful for me is that when I'm broke, I'm never really broke.
If you have the luxury to save, save. And save in a sense because like you don't even see the money growing. Like it must be like a debit order. Like I haven't read literally just for a little bit you thinking about it, you know.
I also think that discipline in knowing that you're going to save this amount and knowing how much you are going to use and how much you're not going to use. I think that discipline is very, very, very necessary. Discipline and consistency.
Because I think as soon as you start attaching you with the money, then that's when you'll be like, he's one guy.
People really look down at saving your 10 Rand, your 100 Rand, your whatever amount looks small to you. You really look down on it. But every single year, at the end of the year, if you've been relaxing and having fun and not paying attention to how much you're saving, and you've been saving consistently, at the end of the year, it's like, oh, I have an extra this amount. And it's always beautiful to have.
So, if you want to save, detach yourself from that amount that you're saving. Don't even think about it at all.
So with that, I found that now, looking into the next year, I'm able to fund a certain amount of my visions when it comes to business starting. And that's exciting for me because I feel like I've been taking care of myself way before I started. Like the past me is taking care of the future me. And I think that that is so beautiful.
Definitely educate yourself as much as you can, whether that's reading books, podcasts, and take the learnings that you've learned and apply it to your life and your specific situation.
Educate yourself about taxes, educate yourself about SARS, educate yourself about the tax system of South Africa or in whatever country you live in. Educate yourself about that.
Start now and where you're at. Don't feel like just because you're not earning anything or you're earning very little, you can't start learning. If anything, you have the luxury now of time and to invest in yourself and your brain and make, good informed financial decisions as you start and go along your journey.
Try not to get into debt, but if you must, please pay it off religiously. Even if you are paying 2 Rand a month into that owing thing, pay it off religiously. Because why? Again, educate yourself about credit scores.
I'm building my credit obviously by paying off my mortgage, but that's as far as it goes. But apart from that, I don't have any accounts. I just don't want to be stuck in that black hole of always having to owe money to someone.
Like being in debt scares me. Like credit cards scare me.
I don't like that thing.
I don't like it. I really don't. But I think what I sort of embraced with my financial advisor is that when you find yourself in these situations where you want to take a risk, make sure that it's beneficial for the future, the long term. You're not just buying Gucci sneakers, So if you really need that thing that will help you with your career, find yourself doing that.
Especially when you start earning the first time, it's so easy to be like, oh, just open that clothing account. I'll, put this on my credit card, without really understanding that is going to build up. And then you see people being like, by 25, I'm 100,000 Rand in debt. By 28, I'm this X amount in debt because you don't have an understanding of it.
So if you're going to get a credit card, make sure you always set a limit. So you have to be very mindful. But what she's told me is that you are in control of it. It's not in control of you. And the thing is,
Don't let money control you.
don't let it control you. That's the thing. When you open a credit card account, you set the limits. When you are saying, okay, I'm going to have this every month, and you know that you can pay back the credit card of a specific amount, let that be consistent, because then your credit score goes up. Language is so important.
Language is so important when
Yeah.
it comes to money and money management. We need to be cognizant of the language that we use.
Of course.
There's often a lot of negativity, a lot of fear, a lot of lack mindset, scarcity.
Oh, I can't afford it. I can't do this because I don't have the money. Oh, I'm broke. We need to let go of that negative talking when it comes to money,
as well as the lack of fear to lose money. If you hold on to money like this, you're never going to have more than what's already here. That's the thing. So just do this sometimes.
I think a good place to start is really being aware of your money psychology, where that comes from, and being active in undoing it and being more positive about money.
Money comes, mother. Don't be scared of money. Allow money in you. Spend the money.
Spend it wisely, but also understand that you are worthy of making money and you're worthy of a life that you've always dreamed of. And there's just certain steps that you need to do in order to get there, and you can do it. And that's a wrap on another episode of Girl Chat. But let's do one more fact or fiction. You are subscribed to this channel, fact or fiction. Better not be fiction. I need that to be a fact, so make it happen. And of course, a huge thank you to Momentum for partnering with us on this video. We'll see you in the next one, as per usual. Girls, ciao for now.